welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. Today I'm really excited to be unboxing Dragonfire by Catalyst Game Labs. This game is based in the Dungeons & Dragons universe, and as you can tell from the box art, looks to be an epic scale. Every single time I see this cover art for this thing, whether it be on a promotional poster or anything like that, I've immediately thought of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I don't know why, it just always brings me back to that game in my mind. Seeing the dragon there with the hero, from what I'm assuming, down below, with little to no chance of surviving, likely. Now, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to definitely open this thing up, see what's inside. I want to show you guys what you're going to get in the core experience. We'll talk about expansions and additions in a future video, which I'm sure you'll be excited to see. But for this one, we're going to stick to the core game. We're going to flip this thing over, take a little look at the back of the box, read a bit about it, find a little bit more about what is going on in this particular game. Now, in order for you guys to actually get more out of this, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can actually see the back of the box. And I'm going to do a little bit of reading here. So right up here, outside of the camera here, it says, "Seize the adventure. The jingle of muffled chainmail, the twisted mutterings of a dark incantation, the stench of corruption wafting down long-forgotten passageways, then the terrifying, abrupt maelstrom of light and sound as skeletons, kobolds, elementals, and worse boil up from hidden caverns to attack, and you respond with steel and magic and blood." I sure hope it's not the blood inside of me that we're throwing back at them. That's not good. Dragonfire is a 2 to 6 player deck building game set within the world's greatest role-playing game, Dungeons & Dragons. Players choose from a number of races, from dwarf to elf to half-orc to human, while assuming the quintessential roles of cleric, rogue, fighter, and wizard. Equipped with weapons, spells, and magic items, players begin their adventure along the famed Sword Coast, which most of us are familiar with from the Dungeons & Dragons universe. Then you expand to other locales across the Forgotten Realms, such as Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, and Waterdeep in future expansions. Along the way, players level up their characters, opening access to additional equipment, feats, and more. Join the quest and build your own legend. And as you can see over here on the far right, we've got our contents, which we'll go through when we actually open the box up, so there's not much excitement there. But as you can see, this is the general setup and look of what it would look like on your table. It looks really cool. It's kind of got like your player reference aid and sheet all in one, kind of sitting in front, staring you back in the face. So that's really cool. And again, this is supposed to be a role-playing game in deck-building format, from what I'm understanding. And we'll get it more into the details of that when we get into the solo setup, rules, and the playthrough. The game takes 60 to 90 minutes to play. 2 to 6 players can play it, and 13 plus for age. So let's take a look at this guy, see what's inside of it. I'm really excited to crack this thing open. Should be great. Now let me just get this back into the right frame. Here we go. Perfect. Well, let's tear this thing open, because that's what you guys are here for. Let's see what's inside of Dragonfire. All right. Now, this has some really cool cards, and I want to let you guys know this in advance. I'm sure you're not surprised, but I am a huge card game fan. I've always liked cards. Cards are something that I could, they go as far back as my childhood, whether it was hockey, basketball, whatever, baseball cards, all that kind of stuff. Cards have always had a place in my heart, so when a game comes out that mixes kind of fantasy adventure with cards, I get super excited. And on top of it, this is a deck builder, which kind of rocks, or at least reminds me closer to, or at least reminds me a little bit more of like Lord of the Rings, I guess. But I don't know the depth of the deck building just yet, so don't quote me on comparing this to Lord of the Rings. That could be a terrible decision. This is going to be its own experience, and we'll see how it plays out. Okay, so as you can see with the paper and wrap off, the colors obviously pop much better. This looks really nice. The cover actually looks even better with the plastic taken off, but we're not here to see the top cover. We're here to see what's inside this box. So we'll rip it open, and this is what we've got. And I'm just going to move this down so we can see a little bit better. Make sure that you guys aren't missing anything there. Okay, so what do we got here? We got Dragonfire Heroes Wanted. Interesting. Okay, so it says Participating hobby stores will have access to additional unique magic items, complete an adventure in store, and seize fantastic treasures you'll find nowhere else. Now, actually, the local game store that I'm close to actually mentioned this, that they're going to be doing this type of thing where they'll have a deck of unique items like this mentions that is rare. You cannot find them anywhere else, and you have to actually go in store, play a game of Dragonfire, and complete it. And then when you do, you're allowed to draw one of these items from that deck, and you're almost gaining something that like nobody else is going to have, kind of thing, at least in that local area. That's really cool. I'm sure that these are going to be sought after items, so this is probably something that I may actually take them up on in order to do. Down here at the bottom is talking a little bit more about the expansions to come, but to be totally honest, I know that some of these expansions have been released recently, so and actually people have gotten their hands on them, so the release date on this and stuff like that's already on the street. But these two guys here are already, I think they've already hit stores. So the character pack here is going to give you a massive amount of extra characters to add to your pile that came with the core game we're going to see in a second. And Treasure Hoard's obviously going to give you tons of treasures, which makes a lot of sense based on its title. There's other campaigns and things like that are going to come out through kind of packs that'll be on the side. They're not talked about, at least on this sheet. On the very, very back of this, it says here, you know, it's really just welcoming you to the game, essentially, telling you what you've got here. I'm not too sure. I'm not going to read through this necessarily, but it looks like you do start here. So you do actually read this first when you're going through, and then continue from there. Wow, that is a cool looking rule book. So I thought the cover of the box was cool. That looks awesome. Look at the color on that thing. I think that's showing up pretty clear for you guys. That is incredible. So yeah, Dragonfire, that sums it up right there. That's pretty awesome. This rulebook is about, let's see how long this guy is, 31 pages long. Okay, so it's decent read, and print-wise, font-wise, all that good stuff. It looks like the font kind of bounces around a little bit, isn't the same everywhere, at least on the front page anyway. But it does look relatively, I'd say it's medium size, but there's definitely quite a bit to read here. So it's going to talk about your, there's your getting started, summary of play, market cards. This side talks about your character screen, your encounter cards, things like that. So there's definitely going to be quite a bit to learn in this one. A little bit more so than the Legacy of Dragonholt we just unboxed. Environments and encounters, keywords. We're not going to go through everything in the book, but as you can see, there is artwork that accompanies some of the pages. So some of that artwork is taking up some of the space. So that's good to know that it's just not entirely reading. You got nice overviews of how you're supposed to set the game up. I really appreciate that. This, guys, the setup section here will absolutely be going over in the showcase. We'll be talking about the solo setup, so we'll be going through each of those steps to help you get this game to the table as fast as humanly possible. And that should be awesome. And of course, I'm not going to go too much further because really we're getting into rules now and stuff like that. But you can see there's lots of colored pictures talking about combat, talking about how you resolve different damage aspects. This whole page here, for instance, is about applying damage and defeating obstacles. So it's got many, many different examples of that. I'm really glad they put the color print into that and didn't just put a ton of text. They put some pictures behind it. I think that's going to really help people out when they're learning. This is nice. I like seeing this, especially this is almost very familiar to me from Fantasy Flight. They do this kind of things and other companies are doing this as well, but this whole idea of doing a quick start rules to get you into the game as fast as possible. So this will be what you read first, and then the assumption would be afterwards you're going to go through your rulebook and get kind of a little bit more of the beef of the game after that. So this quick start rules is probably going to be about 7. I wouldn't be surprised, like 7 to 10 pages. It's 7. It's 7 pages. There is a map on the back, so it's going to give you the Sword Coast. That's pretty cool. Probably should give you a little look at that. But essentially, as it mentioned earlier, we're going to start in a certain section, essentially, and then we're going to branch out as the expansions add on to it. You're going to be exploring different parts of the world. The back actually has things about sword icons, class types, all that good stuff. But again, this is a quick reference to show you how to play the game. Much more simplistic, little less art, more to the point, essentially. Some reading there for sure, but that will help you get the game to the table quicker, I'm sure. Right here we got our tokens, so of course punch boards. Everyone loves punch boards. We can crack these open. I'm not going to be punching these out on camera though, because that would probably bore you to tears, or maybe it would excite some people. Looks like that's probably the first player token. I'm sure that other people will have miniatures of dragons, which they'll probably use for their first player token. That actually isn't a bad idea. being that it is called Dragonfire. We got +1 modifiers here. Some of these are actually just standees, like cardboard standees. Not too sure what the EXH stands for, and a bunch of other tokens here. They could be timers, they could be reference to hit points. Who knows? We'll find out soon. Oh, I've already punched out the first thing. And then over here we got another punch board. So this one here has some more. And this actually, there you go. Now you can actually see kind of what is actually going to be in these standees. So it's 4 different types. Again, I don't know what these 4 stand for just yet. We will talk about them in the playthrough. And of course, different colored dragon tokens of different colors. So there's obviously affinities here or some type of class breakup there. And obviously these tokens are pairing up to those 4 different colors: black, blue, green, and red. So we'll find out more about that as we go along. These tokens I'm not familiar with either, so we'll move along. Once you've got all the punch board fun out of the way, then you get to the actual box itself. On the inside, you'll notice that the inside actually has a really nice insert, from what I'm seeing. There's some space there for everything. Everything seems to have its own space. It's also not completely full. So that's a good thing in a way, because it's going to allow for me to go ahead and fill it up over time. So we've got separate sections here. That's cool. So there's an area here, there's stuff here. So really a huge pocket here that I'm not really sure what goes in here just yet. It has a bunch of bases. So these are going to be little clasps, or I should say they're like tracking. They're little trackers. So they're going to probably be like sliders. I guess they're sliders. What am I talking about? Trackers. These are sliders. These are going to be like little swords. They basically just slide across most likely your character sheet to mark off maybe your hit points and health and all that good stuff. What should we start with first? Let's start on the far right. So on the far right section, we've got what appears to be, my guess would be, these are the hero boards. So actually they're a bit smaller than they look in the pictures, but they're really nice. So you've got a bunch. So they're quite long. I don't know which side is the front side, because you've got this side here, which gives you some details like the name, the deception, you got rogue levels, HP. So basically a nice sum up of what you're looking at in terms of your character. You flip this over and you've got a big picture of your character with it, some other text and different stats as well. I'm not sure which side is supposed to be facing towards everyone, but my guess would be that it's probably the one with the gigantic picture, because then everyone can reference which character everyone is. So there's a bunch here. So you've got this guy here. There's a half-elf rogue, a human rogue, a half-orc cleric, a shield dwarf cleric, a human cleric, I don't even know if I'm reading these right or not. Let's see. This one is a wizard shield dwarf, a wizard sun elf, or a sun elf wizard. I'm starting to say some of that stuff backwards, so I apologize for that. Human wizard here. Human wizard. And a sun elf fighter, half orc fighter, and a human fighter, and a human fighter. So there's a bunch there, and I'm really not familiar with the different ones, but I think at the back of the box here I mentioned there was 4. So the character add-on pack's obviously going to add a bunch more of these, probably expand the types of characters that you can be in the game. So we'll see that in future expansions. So that's that. We'll put those back in the box. I think there is one thing beside it. I'm not sure what these are. These could actually be the adventures themselves. So I think this is going to be your reference as the game goes on. It gets bigger and bigger. You'll probably get more of these. Maybe that's what this is supposed to be for. No, it's not. I'm crazy. But essentially, you've got adventure levels in the top left here. Adventure level 2, then it goes to 3, then it goes to 4. There's a 2, there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 2. So imagine you can switch up your campaign. I'm not sure if the back has anything different than the front, to be honest. So this one says Dungeon Crawl on the back, and on the front it says Dungeon Crawl. I think they're double-sided on purpose, because there's adventure setups and encounters on one side, as you can see. So if we were talking about the Wastes of the Ancient Empire, which is likely the first one, could be, I don't know. It says adventure setup, encounters, tokens, all that kind of stuff, how to get things going. And on the back here it's got completing the adventure and a bunch of other stuff that I don't want to spoil. So essentially that is that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which one's the first one and how this all plays out. So there's an order to that. I'm sure there's a rhyme and reason to how that works. We'll find out more about that in the solo setup and rules. Stickers. Interesting. I didn't expect that. So there's stickers in this game. There's a bunch of them. So I'm assuming my guess, adventure environment. Okay. Adventure environment. Interesting. So maybe this is telling you if you're like out in the streets versus in the dungeon, I guess. This is kind of like a reference as to where you are, potentially, my guess. Okay, and then yeah, so these stickers have things like skill, divine hand, recovery, dramatic flair, boon companion. So all these stickers, really what they're going to be doing, I think, and I don't really know where these are going to go. These may end up on your character sheets, or they could end up on your cards. My guess is as you level up or when you increase things, you're going to get access to these stickers. So I can see a whole bunch of people saying, I don't want to use these. I want to keep my game in mint condition like me because I'm weird. So people will probably print these out on regular paper and then just keep them as a reference. Or what you could do essentially is just cut around the sticker and use it without actually sticking it on anything. If you wanted to be super paranoid about using stickers. There's more stickers on the other side. So there's another whole bundle. Again, same type of idea. Different stickers to use. So Acolyte here, Folk Heroes, Sailors, Adherent, all that good stuff. So there's quite a bit to experience there. So we'll take that and put that back. And then down here we got An Ancient Evil Arises. So this one is, I don't know if I want to open this. I'm not going to open this on camera just yet. So this is talking about the campaign. So this is going to be the first read you're going to have of the campaign. And then, of course, from then on in, I don't want to read anything else because the rest of it, I think, goes through the, it goes to the epilogues and interludes and all that good stuff. So I don't want to spoil anything. So we're not going to be reading through that in this unboxing. I don't want to make anyone angry. And then we've got all these other cards that we can go through. So we probably can't get through all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this video, but we do have a bunch. I do want to show you them, though, because they are very cool. So we're going to go ahead and tear one of these open. Now, what you're probably noticing right off the bat is a little bit of a shimmer and a shine to them. That's right, these things are holographic. So if you're like me and you grew up in the world of holographic sports cards, collectible card games like Star Wars, CCG, all that kind of stuff, this is going to remind you of all that stuff. It's going to come right back to the forefront of your mind as you go through this. So here we go. We've got healing, for instance. We've got, this is really cool. Actually, I might have to zoom this out, sorry guys, so we get the best quality on the look here, but there you go. So you can see like nice shimmers, healing cards. We've got poison cards. I love the holographic, it's just so cool. Strength, detect magic. Trying to make sure that these hit the light as you see them. I'm not going to be able to go through every single one, but it looks like all the items at least are holographic. That just makes it even cooler, so when you get one, it's like, oh, now you got something fancy. Stone of Good Luck. I like that. I really like the holographic thing. I think that's smart. It adds a little bit of a uniqueness and a specialness to the cards because, as most of us know, when you go through a dungeon crawler, or this is more of a deck builder, that type of thing, most times when you acquire an item card, the best thing you can say is maybe the name of it and its art. This is going to add another level to it, where now you've got a little bit of a shimmer and shine to it, making you feel like you really got something super special and kind of cool that your friends may or may not have. Like, look at that. That's cool. So you got yourself like a robe of stars, and the stars are like glistening. That's super awesome. Okay, so we're going to put those off to the side. So really, those are like an example of the items in the game. I think there's more than just those. I think there might be other items elsewhere. You can see the regular cards. And again, I can't name exactly what these ones are, but essentially they're not holographic. So not as much excitement there, sadly. But it's good. I'm glad they didn't overdo it with the holographic element. They didn't put that on every single card. It would have kind of worn thin. They just did it on the ones that mattered. So this is like, I don't know what these are for. They say Marshall in the keyword section. So these could be talking about different actions you can take, abilities essentially. But it sounds like they're actions. Like you got tower shields, charging, that type of thing. Fireballs, so people that can do different types of magic. I don't know what these are. I really don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. It's kind of hard to say exactly, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of those. So I'm going to have to go through these and kind of learn a little bit more about the cards themselves and what I'm looking at. This one looks like they're very similar to the deck we just opened, so I'll keep that one closed. Same thing here. Now what I'm noticing right off the bat though is the colors are changing. So we've got like this one was black, this one is green. So maybe that's lining up with the different, the 4 different symbols that we saw earlier across here. So that's probably, I'm drawing a connection between that, I guess. These ones were black, the first ones we unboxed or opened up. These look like we're talking kind of areas. So when you're when you actually go on your adventures and things like that. So this could be interesting. So let's crack this one open and see what's inside. Just gonna pull this back. All right, so this one is this one's like a sinkhole, for instance. Goblin pack. There's different ones too. I don't know if there's higher versions of the same card. So you got Boreal City, Ghouls. Well, he looks friendly. Mimic. That looks like straight out of Super Dungeon Explorer. That's hilarious. White Revenant. Secret. Okay, interesting. Gargoyle. So these are going to be some of the enemies that you're going to run into as you go through. Looks pretty cool. Just giving you guys kind of a quick overview of the cards without going into any of their details specifically. So this is going to give you a kind of a nice idea of the art style of the game. Looks pretty cool. All the way to the back. Again, I haven't gone through every deck, so I do apologize for that. But I don't want to, I don't want to show you everything. Part of the magic of buying a new game is actually exploring the major parts of it, or the spoilerish parts of it, for yourself. So I'm just showing you what you're likely to run into during the game, as much as I can tell. So again, these are enemies, so swarming skeletons, more places to go and hide. These, again, every single different adventure you go on is probably going to run into certain enemies that you won't run into elsewhere. Some of them are going to be tougher, bigger, stronger. I'm also skipping some guys, so there might be the odd one that's kind of like getting thrown underneath. There's also location cards like the Moaning Chamber, because that sounds good when you head into a chamber and there's a bunch of people moaning. A portal, good. There's definitely no lack of different enemies in this. Like, this core game provides you with quite a bit that way. So that's it. I mean, there's 2 other packs of cards here that we can crack into, but I'm not going to right now. I'm going to leave those ones sealed, I think. Well, I could probably get through one more. So let's just crack one more open. And I think I'll open the gold one, because the gold one's the one I had, or not the gold one, the green one. And the more I look at these, the more they say, like, they're saying devotion. I'm seeing the word devotion. I'm thinking that there's 4 different devotions in the game is what it is. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. This one just says devotion basic. These are grace cards. There seems to be a ton of them. These could be the deck building element where, like, a lot of us, when you start your character, these are probably some of the core cards you're going to have in your hand. Maybe. My guess. I could be totally wrong. Basic stealth. You get a whole bunch of those. And then basic glory. So that actually is just like a gigantic pile of this. This has to be like where you go into that deck building element where you're starting hand kind of thing, and then you're building up off of it as you go along. So yeah, I'm not going to go any further into it. There's one more deck, but we're running out of time. So hopefully this was a good overview of the game Dragonfire in terms of an unboxing. Hopefully this was helpful. If you found it helpful to be able to find out what's inside the box, give me a thumbs up. If you do want to see this in a rolling solo showcase where we'll go over the solo setup, then the rules overview, and then a full playthrough, that would be awesome. I'd love to see the support for that. So give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you want to see it. Also, throw comments down below if you've happened to play the game, or if you're just excited for it. Anything you feel like venting out, letting me know about in advance, that would be great. I'd like to get you guys in on the adventure. We can do this together as a group, name our heroes and whatnot, and jump into the fray and see what Dragonfire has for us. So until next time, everyone, keep on rolling solo.